Hello everybody, I'm Mike Welsch coming to you from Churchill Downs with the Monday edition of Daily Racing Forum's Breeders' Cup Clocker Report. Another busy morning today, another very cold morning. I thought it was the coldest morning yet, and it's going to be typical of what the weather's going to be right through to Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday. They're calling for cold weather on Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday this year. But the horses love it, and I think that might have been evident in the performances I saw this morning, because overall, I thought this was the best group of works I've seen since I've been here. Saturday and Sunday we were busy, but didn't see a lot of works that I was totally impressed with. But today, a whole bunch of them, and I'll start with the one I liked the best, and that was Warrior's Reward. Now, a week ago, I spoke about Warrior's Reward. I came here hoping for him to wow me a little bit, because I think I like his chances a lot in the sprint, the way the pace sets up for him. But I wasn't that impressed with his previous work. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't up to the standards I've seen him do in the past. Well, this morning I saw what I saw last year before his big race against Munnings here on Derby Day, and today he did it again with exercise rider Tracy Wilkes in the saddle today instead of Julian Lepperbrue last week. He was on the muscle right away. I mean, she had trouble just getting him to the pole. He was so aggressive, and he broke off and he went right into the work, and he was just brilliant from start to finish. He won a half mile in 49 flat. Now, the track was a little on the cuppy and dull side again today, so the time's a little slower than you might expect from Breeders' Cup type horses. But it was the final quarter mile that impressed me the most. 23-2 under no pressure at all, and then the gallop out was super. And now while he was working, another horse got loose on the racetrack. The siren was blasting. It was a little bit of a disruptive element to the work, but Tracy kept going with this horse out another eighth of a mile. Finish out in 102 flat to the 7/8 pole. Then had to pull him up a little sooner than she probably would have liked because of the potential danger of the loose horse. So Warrior's Reward is my work of the day. Now, another sprint horse who worked right after Warrior's Reward was Riley Tucker, and I did not like him as much. He won a half mile in 49-2, but he was very rank going to the pole. Had his head up a little bit as he began his work. He did settle in the last part of it, but he didn't finish nearly as well as Warrior's Reward. Warrior's Reward the last quarter in 23-2, and Riley Tucker the last quarter in 24-3, and a big difference as well in the gallop outs. Now, the horse that everybody came to see very early this morning, the first worker was Blame. Blame, who's one of the key contenders for the Classic, but as I expected, I didn't expect to see him do too much this morning. He had his major work last week at Keeneland, which I reported that I love that work. He's coming into this race just super. They put Garrett Gomez on him this morning. Wanted to work him under the lights, get him used to the lights, because the Classic will be run under the lights next Saturday. And Blame with a nice maintenance half mile in 49-3, galloped out in 103-2, came home in 24-4. Garrett was just sitting there, didn't ask him for anything at all. Kind of swung a little 3 or 4 pats off the rail. And most of the works today, the riders decided to take their horses away from the rail. Like I said, the track's been a little loose, more so down near the inside than the middle of the track. So a nice final work for Blame, and he couldn't be doing any better, at least up to this point, going into the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, another work I liked today was on the turf, and that was Al Khali. Now, trainer Bill Mott worked 3 horses this morning: Al Khali, Proviso, and Unrivaled Bell. And with all 3, he had the same style. He galloped them a mile prior to the work, pulled them up, let them catch their breath a little bit, then broke them off at the pole. They all broke off kind of slow. Al Khali was no different. Went pretty slow early, but then finished up his last quarter in 23 flat. Another thing I might mention today, a lot of the final quarter miles on the turf were fast. That's because A, it's pretty much a straightaway, and B, there was a little headwind behind the horses coming down the stretch, so that helped him along. But he did it so easily. He switched leads a little bit late, but has a nice fluid long stride. I just love the way he went. He galloped out in finished in 101-2 for 5/8, and galloped out well 6 furlongs in 15-1. Now, after the break, trainer Al Stahl had worked Blame early. He worked JB's Thunder, his 2-year-old, after the break, put him in company with an older horse that's actually won a couple of races, and JB's Thunder broke off a length behind. He was a little bit rank early, so jockey Sean Bridgman eased him back a little bit. They joined up at the head of the stretch and finished as a team. No pressure at all on either horse, but no pressure on JB's Thunder, the younger horse, who's prepping for the juvenile. 49-4, galloped out 103-1. Like I said, he was a little rank going to the pole. I think they're going to try to rate him his speed a little bit in the juvenile, because there is a lot of speed in the race. So I don't know if that's a sign to be worried about. But all in all, I thought it was a very good work for JB's Thunder. Now, a horse I pegged last week as a sleeper in the dirt mile, The Sky Has No Limit, worked very well last week, came back again today with an easier work but a nice work. He went 48-3, one of the faster half miles today, came home in 24-2, did it very easily, also fanned out about 4 pass wide into the stretch, but he was under no pressure at all, and he looks very sharp coming into his race. So The Sky Has No Limit is the horse you might want to look for in the mile. Getting back to the mott workers, Proviso on the turf again today. Same thing. Now, Kent DeSorma was on Proviso. She's had a high energy level here all week. I've been bragging on her pretty much all week, the way she's been doing. Kent galloped her a mile first before he worked her, and even the gallop was at a pretty high level of speed. You could have almost put a watch on the gallop. He stopped her, gave her a break, got her back to the pole. She went very slow early, pretty much very slow throughout her work, 52 for the half. But it was the gallop out where she really started the run. She actually did her best running from the wire, another quarter mile around the turn. Galloped out 13 around the turn and around the dogs, which was spectacular for this morning. 5/8 in 105, a double gallop out in about 18 and change. Like I said, Proviso couldn't be doing any better. Now, another horse that's also going to run in the mile, the work was a sharp contrast to Proviso's. The way it went was Sydney's Candy. Now, Sydney's Candy, a more aggressive horse, a speedier horse, and he was that. Very aggressive today coming away from the pole. Was very quick early, was under some pressure. He took a little bit of an erratic path through the stretch. I didn't like this. Kind of tried to lug in near the mid-stretch. The rider had to actually tap him left-handed to keep him straight, to keep him from running into the cones. He was under some pressure to finish. He galloped out all right. This is probably the best of the 4 John Sadler trained horses works I've seen this week. But he's still a little bit too aggressive for me. He's going to show speed in the mile, but I have a feeling in here with all the other speed and the quality of the closes in the race that Sydney's Candy might be up against it. His work was not as good as some of the others I saw today. Now, the third mott worker was Unrivaled Bell. Kent was on her too. Same pattern. Opening quarter mile after that slow gallop around and brief rest in 27. She finished up well, though, when 5/8 in 103 was quite wide into the stretch, about 6 wide, keeping her off the rail and not asking her at all. And she's doing well as well. I know she has, she's kind of an aggressive filly, kind of has some head issues. The paddock, again, will be a big problem for her. Hopefully, Bill will get her schooled and on her best behavior in the paddock and on the racetrack for the Ladies Classic. Now, one of the better works I saw today, later this morning after the break, as a matter of fact, one of the best works of the day and of the week was Informed Decision. Now, it looks like she'd been tailing off recently in her races. Maybe not quite the same filly that won the Filly and Mass Sprint last year, but today she couldn't have looked any better. Julian Leperoux was aboard. She was one of the few horses, maybe the only horse of all the Breeders' Cup workers that stayed right down on the rail where the going is a little bit looser. But despite being down on the rail, she had the quickest half mile of any of the Breeders' Cup workers, 47-2. Only a little bit of pressure coming near the wire. She galloped out extremely well, a minute and 1/5. This was a complete turnaround from what I expected. I had kind of was not going to regard her as a factor in the Filly and Mass Sprint, but off of this work today, I think I'm putting her back in the equation. A couple other horses to work today, just briefly, because we don't want to. We're running out of time here. Sweet August Moon for the Filly and Mass Sprint, also 3/8 and 35-2 was being asked along. She's going to be a speed factor in the race, but I think she's up against it in there. Stablemate California Flag went 3/8 on the grass. They're looking to put more speed into him. His last race very disappointing in Keeneland. He was urged along 36-3, and okay, time out there around the dogs, but not what I was looking for today from him. I thought he would be able to do it a little easier. And the final horse I'm going to mention was Forever Together. Another horse who seems, from the Jonathan Shepard stable, while Informed Decision seems to be rounding back to maybe her top 4. Forever Together, I thought today was a little bit aggressive early in her work and tired late. She went 5/8 in a minute and 4/5. Did not gallop out as strong as I would have liked. So Forever Together, a great mare, but maybe not on top of her best game right now. Now, that's about the end of it for our works this week. Maybe a couple more Tuesday and Wednesday. The Europeans will be on the track for the first time. Most of them tomorrow. Maybe we'll see a couple of them blow out or work later in the week. But most of the major work is done now. It's going to be gallopers and the New York horses and the California horses, looking at Lucky and some of the others who will will see on the track for the first time tomorrow that we'll concentrate on in our remaining sessions of our Breeders' Cup Workout Report. So make sure you remain here at therf.com throughout the end of the week for all the news that's still coming up to the Breeders' Cup 2010.